Welcome to this brief introduction to our Dropbox files. The Women's Ministry files are all kept on Dropbox, and we'd like you to understand how to find them and access them, and how to upload and save files to Dropbox as well. The first thing you'll need to do is go to Dropbox.com and create an account if you haven't done so already. Simply click on the blue words Create an Account and fill in the appropriate information. You will also have the opportunity to download Dropbox onto your computer, and we strongly suggest that you do that. It will make things a lot easier for you. Once you've got it downloaded, this is the sign-in page that you would find at Dropbox.com, and you would simply enter your information and sign in. This is what the Dropbox page looks like if you were to access it from the Dropbox.com website. Now, the advantage to this is that if your computer is at home and you're traveling, or you're on your phone, a tablet, you're away from your desk somewhere, you can access this website from anywhere at any computer, just like a normal website, and you would be able to log in and access files. So wherever you are, if you have access to a computer and the internet, you have access to all of the Dropbox files and the information that you would need. More conveniently, you'll find that if you download Dropbox onto your computer and your phone and your tablet, whatever other electronic devices you have, you'll see that Dropbox will appear in the sidebar right on your computer as an option, as a place that you would see right away. So, for example, if you had a Microsoft Word document, you can see in the background that Microsoft Word is open. If you were working on a document and wanted to save that document as a women's ministry file on Dropbox, you would simply select File, Save As, and then you would be able to go right to the Dropbox icon in that left column of your computer, and you would be able to select the Dropbox folder that you want to save your document in. So that's how you would save a document. Once that document is in Dropbox, then everyone else can access it and see it and modify it as well if they have access to that folder. But that's how you would save a file to Dropbox. But let's talk about opening files. If you were to click on the Dropbox icon on your computer, you would be able to see a complete listing of the file folders that are in the Women's Ministry Dropbox. You would have access to these folders, and we'll just walk through them very quickly so that you understand what's in each of the folders right now. The list of folders will obviously change as our needs change. Just like your computer, we are all able to add files and save files into the folders, and so the list will continue to change as we need to update that information. The top folder you'll see is for business cards. We have someone that designs business cards for people in women's ministry, and those people are able to print their own business cards, and that's where the masters are kept. So if someone needed or wanted a business card, if that's what you have, then you would be able to go to that file and access your business cards and print them. We ask that you not design them yourself. We prefer that they all look alike. And so if you need business cards, please speak to your chairman, and she can direct our designer to get you a template and get that uploaded so that you can print that. More importantly, probably, is the second file of database and members. When you click on the database and members folder, you'll find some very important files. The first file that I want to talk about is the master committee list that will be updated. That's what it's entitled, and it will always be there. And this is where you would go to find information about committee members and team members and volunteers that are involved with women's ministry. When you open this Excel file, the first thing you will see is whatever tab the last person left open. So if someone else were working on this document and left a different view open, you would see the view that they last used. For right now, let's assume that it's at the Master tab. Now, when I talk about tabs, please look carefully at the bottom of the picture where the blue arrows are pointing. There are a series of tabs across the bottom of the Excel file. Each of those tabs is like a recipe card tab, and it will hold a separate sheet. So what you're looking at right now is the Master tab, and the Master tab has a list of all the team members and who's currently serving on which team. So you would always be able to see one quick snapshot of the people that are directly involved with women's ministry. Then, for example, if you clicked on the Congo Team tab, you would see that on that sheet you would find the specific email addresses, regular physical addresses, zip codes, and perhaps responsibilities that each of the people have on that specific team. The chairman of each team is responsible for keeping this sheet updated, and you may access anybody's information, and this is a kind of a solid place where we should all be able to go if you're wondering who is the district coordinator in this area, who's taking care of web design, who's taking care of conference publicity. You would simply go to the tab that you are interested in learning about, and you should be able to find current updated information in this file. The other very important document that we have is the master mailing list. This is the document that includes all the names and email addresses, information about people who have expressed interest in women's ministry. If you wanted to add a name to this list, you'd simply go to the bottom of the list in the email address column and enter the email address of the person you wish to add their first name and their last name. Column E is simply marked CC, which stands for Congregational Contact. If a person that you add, or a person who's previously been on the list, agrees to be a congregational contact, we'd like you to put an X in that column. The hope is that someday we'll have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of congregational contacts, and we'll want to be able to filter this list and just have one list of congregational contacts so we can see how many we have and where they are, and this will be a very simple way for us to keep that list updated and make sure that our congregational contacts are always on our mailing list. The next three columns are also important because they're related to the spam regulations that we have to keep track of with regard to sending out emails and mass mailings. So if someone gives you permission to send them an email, you can simply put a Y in each of those columns, and that tells us that you have indeed given permission, or you've been given permission to add that person to our list. Some addresses do not have Ys because they're older addresses or older pieces of information. We didn't get their permission, but we're not really sure that they don't want to. They've been kind of grandfathered in. There are other squares that you'll see are marked UN, and those squares are people that have specifically asked that we not send them anything. But we do keep their name and email information on file for future reference so that we can see who those people are and perhaps find out why have they left, or what could we possibly do to serve them in a different way. The colors of the squares will automatically fill. All you have to do is type in the Y, and when you hit enter they will automatically become green. The next column is simply a memo field. If you go to a retreat or a congregation or somehow would like to make a memo about how we got that person's name and information, where they came from, where they signed up at, that type of thing, that's where you could notate that in the memo field. If there's another memo you would like to add there, go right ahead. And if we need to add another memo field, we certainly can do that if we need to start distinguishing memos. Another possibility for the memo field is simply to record, for example, if that person were an author or a lawyer or some profession that we would want to note that this person has a special gift or ability, something like that, and you would like to make a note of that. Again, the memo field would be a very appropriate column to make that notation in. You'll also see that there are address lines for their address, city, state, zip code, and phone number. We realize that we don't always get that information when people sign up, but it is helpful, because if we would ever want to mail something in the mail to these people, this is where we would go to look for that information. One common thing I hear about Dropbox, especially with regards to the mailing list, is that people are very concerned they're going to mess it up. They're very concerned that they're going to delete something or ruin it somehow, and then our whole database will be lost and gone, and they're very concerned about that. So I wanted you to actually see what I have access to as the administrator of the folder, and that is simply that I can go back and see every version of the folder for a very, very long time. And this is just one sample of what a page that I could look at. It will show me the last 5 versions of the folder, so I can go back and restore a version at any time. So for example, if Marilyn Miller went into the database and somehow made a mistake, changed something, deleted information that we needed by accident, I could go back and say, restore that file before Marilyn worked on it, and show it to me before Marilyn made any changes, and then I would be able to go back to that point and restore the information. So the chances of us losing information is almost impossible. I would be able to restore files no matter what you do. Just call me, tell me you think you goofed it up, and I should be able to go back and fix the problem quite easily with that little blue button that says restore. Another small error that we run into sometimes is if someone saves a file and they don't realize that they're saving it, it will show up as the same title with the number 1 in parentheses after it. I haven't quite figured out how people do that, but that's what it looks like. So if you were to open a folder and see 2 files and that are the exact same name, but one of them has a number after it, I would not select that file. I would go to the main file that looks correct rather than a numbered file. You may also see where it would say, for example, reorganized structure, and then it might say Naomi's conflicted copy. A conflicted copy occurs when you open a Dropbox folder and you're working in a file, and somebody else just happens to open that exact same file at the exact same time and make changes as well. Then when you both go to save the files, the computer has to distinguish that you've made changes and somebody else made changes at the same time, and those files are not merged. Again, that's an easy solution for us to fix. I can go in and tell who is working on the files and contact them, and we can just make sure that we figure out how to work through that. It doesn't happen very often, but if you would happen to see that, I would want you to understand what it's talking about. So again, back to the main view. Now we've talked about business cards and the database members. Some of the other following files wouldn't be as important for the time being. Notes about face-to-face meetings, job descriptions are in that folder. We'll come back and talk about publicity and PR files in a different introduction. But the next thing I would want you to see are the 4 files for the teams. Each team chairman is responsible for managing their team files. No one could really anticipate what every team would need in their filing system, and so the chairman is responsible for keeping the files organized and making sure that whatever you have or need for your specific team is available and found in your team folder. And so the team folders are there for you. Again, that's something that you would discuss with your team chairman. If you have questions or suggestions, that would be the person to contact. That really kind of concludes the introduction to the main parts of the Dropbox folders. The Thrivent projects is, for right now, it's just something that we've got out there. Conference calls, that's not something you need to worry about either. Our mission statements are there so that they're very easy to find. And then at the bottom there is an Excel file of organized, the organization and the permissions of the files. So if you really have a question and you want to see like a site map or an overview of all the files and folders on Dropbox, you should be able to click there, although I don't know that that really gets updated as frequently as it should. So that's the Dropbox file folder in a nutshell. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask your team chairman or contact me directly.